Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I'm Dwayne Moody, and we have a packed day today. It's Tuesday. You know, it's still the start of the week.
Yeah.
I already feel like I'm not ready for weekend because Sabrina.
I
It's like,
know.
I'm telling you, this morning I woke up and guys, I'm going to expect only rain, right? My phone lied to me. Because it said that, you know what, there was a 45% chance that it would rain in Belize City. And so I would wait for it. And so 5 o'clock I get up, they're like, yes, I'll sleep.
Let me tell you, guys, if you watch this show every morning, you would know that I'm always like, no, we like the heat. I don't like the mug. Please rain, please. Whatever the rain dance is, I will learn it. We can all choreograph it and do it together, okay?
Yes, I like that.
Please rain. This is the first time I'm saying it. Please rain. We need the cool.
It's interesting. And we will, of course, have the folks from the National Meteorological Service that will talk to us about, you know, the outlook for today and for the rest of the week. But, man, it's like, Belize is recording record high levels of heat wave.
Yeah.
There was a release issued by the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management, under which, of course, the National Met Service falls. And they have an analysis of hot conditions in Belize for 2023, Sabrina. And listen to me, guys. They're saying that this year, this hot season, the heat season, started in April, and we've been having up to 15 heat wave days that have been identified. And then in May, several individual daily heat records were broken. It's on May 17th, 24th, the 26th, the 30th, and the 31st, Libertad Village in Corozal recorded daytime high temperatures. And this is with respect to records that were put in place in 2003, 2005, and 2010. It's just a lot of data that they've analyzed, and really, we've been taking the brunt of the heat.
Yeah.
We've been, oh my God. When you're saying that, oh, you know what, you're going outside, and just for 5 minutes, and you're starting to pour, it's sweat pouring all over it. Man, you need to stay inside.
You know it's bad when you sweat in the shower. And you know, the crazier part is watching, when you're checking the temperatures, and of course it shows 3 digits, like 100 degrees, but then it says, feels like 116. And of course, we're right there agreeing, because it really does feel that hot. Well, I don't know exactly how 116 feels, but I imagine that's how it feels.
Yeah.
But it's very, very hot. And I mean, this press release from the Ministry of Sustainable Development and Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management showing that we've been breaking heat records as it relates to previous years really shows and puts into perspective the type of heat we are experiencing this year. But as we've been mentioning, as of course informed by the as we were informed by the National Meteorological Service, this year is set as El Nino year, which means that we should be expecting the heat. Of course, with that, many of us are having the conversation of, does that mean that we will be having more hurricanes? We did have Chief Gordon online with us explaining what an El Nino year is and really reassuring us that it does not mean that we will be having a higher than expected I guess, performance in hurricanes. Essentially, and I'll do my best to explain it, but what it does is it creates more storms, but the storms break up the hurricane. That's the best I can do. But we, of course, we could ask that again from the National Meteorological Service when we have them online. But yeah, it's been really hot.
Yeah, and just to so that people can understand what's a hot day. It is defined as a day daytime high temperatures reaching or exceeding the 98th percentile and falls within the top 10% of the historical record. May 2023 has gone on record as the second warmest May for Libertad and Belmopan. So they're experiencing really hot days. I think if they're saying here also that a heat wave is defined as a period of at least 2 consecutive heat wave or 2 consecutive hot days. I think it's been like 21 or maybe a whole month.
It feels like forever.
Forever, right?
Yeah, it does feel like
so,
forever.
like, what are you guys doing at home to stay hydrated, to stay cool? Because honestly, I'm at home. The fan is right on me. I don't have AC. The fan is right on me. And I'm still sweating.
Yeah.
It's like the hot breeze to come out of the fan.
It is hot breeze. It is hot breeze. Like I told you, we're sweating in the shower.
It's like, so do we go to the Keys or the coastline just so that you can enjoy some sea breeze? I don't know. It's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Dwayne, so when we take showers these days, you have to let the water run a little bit before because that first hot water would touch your skin on a hot day. Please. Oh my goodness.
Listen, it's like, I had this thing that I cannot take a shower with cold water.
Yeah.
It has to be hot, lukewarm
Really?
to hot water.
Okay.
Yes, has to. And I did tell her these days I can't.
You're taking ice baths. Ice baths.
I think I saw a meme somewhere where someone was saying that they want to sleep in a bed of ice.
No, that's really how we feel.
Really
We've
hot.
been seeing memes where persons are saying that, like in Belmopan, it feels like you're lying on a stove top while you're lying in bed. And I can totally relate to that. Of course, I don't live in Belmopan, but it is very hot. I think all over the country. And of course, every single day we try to remind you guys to stay hydrated, stay indoors if you can, and just stay as cool as possible. However you can. We're all fighting the same fight.
We're going to have more on that with the forecaster later on. But let's talk about this gun license. Sabrina.
Yeah, we had a really interesting newscast last night that covered the issue of gun licenses. And of course, this isn't something new. There's been conversations buzzing over social media, I would say, for the past few weeks. And it really speaks to the illegal acquisition of gun licenses in Belize that are done in a way that looks legal. Of course, that has the signature of the Commissioner of Police, which is the final write-off that gives you the official approval to acquire a gun legally. But we are now covering instances where persons are illegally or fraudulently acquiring gun licenses, and it really puts into perspective the question of if there exists a black market for gun licenses in Belize. Of course, the Commissioner of Police has said that under his watch, or at least under his himself, he's not the one that's illegally or being paid to issue gun licenses. But now, the question arises of who is the person that's doing this?
We do have a clip from the Commissioner of Police as he addressed this illegal, this black market for gun license. Let's hear that clip.
You're aware then that there is a gun license, black market operations here in Belize, and that some of your senior officers are part of that chain?
I don't know. I don't know if that is the case. Maybe there may be instances where persons might apply on behalf of other persons, and maybe they're giving them something under the table. But again, like I said, if you and somebody are friends and that person applies on your behalf and you give that person something for helping you, that has nothing to do with me. Now, if they were to say, well, I give the commissioner something, no, that's a different story. And that I can say to you definitively. Nobody out there can tell you they pay the commissioner of police for no gun license, because I do not indulge in those stupidity.
So, but this makes your job rather difficult, because then how do you then know based on what comes before you, which is fraud and which is not?
Mr. Lopez, there's nothing in life that is foolproof. Even the U.S. Embassy visa that they go through so much things to issue, even those people fabricate. Even everything you do, there is always a risk that something will go wrong or that persons are going to find a way to circumvent the process. And you have to expect that. We can, even if the gun license were to go to a board now, you feel like it will make a difference. Jamaica went to a board, and even in Jamaica, gun licenses are being issued to people who are not supposed to get gun license, and the police are having issues in Jamaica with that. So, no care what we do, that is always going to be a perennial problem that we will have to deal with as a society.
You know, it's so interesting. You're hearing the Commissioner of Police, Chester Williams, speak to the fact that, you know what, this so-called black market for gun license is an issue that has to be addressed. We know that he is the one that puts his final signature on these gun licenses because he has to approve.
Yeah.
He's the final person to approve them. We've had interviews with him in the past. I think as recent as maybe a month ago, I spoke with him where he said that, you know what, he has tried his best, or he has been doing his best to ensure that if anybody that he feels has a record that does not require a license, he will block it.
Yeah.
And so that is interesting, and it goes to say, you know, like, to what end do we deal with this? How do we address this? Because, like he said, in Jamaica, there's a whole board that determines whether someone gets a gun license, but they're still flawed.
Yeah.
Here in Belize, it's one person that determines that, and it's the Commissioner of Police, but there are still some gaps, or at least some slippages that are taking place. And so how do we deal with this? Ensuring that some people, bad man, no got gun,
Yeah.
when, you know, there are some people who believe that, you know, the power of that money, you can pay for your gun license and get ahead, you know.
I mean, Dwayne, not only gun licenses, but any resources that you
Yeah.
really want. And we've seen in many instances where persons were able to pay for quicker service,
Yeah.
to have access to whatever resources they need at the time. I mean, if we're talking hot offices like Lands Department, where it was continuously reported of persons getting their documentation
Corruption, yeah.
early, and corruption by just really paying for that service. All you really need is money in certain areas, and it really puts into perspective, as I said, I guess the need to address these issues more, to really shed light on it. I think showcasing this particular issue within the Belize Police Department really allows the public to have that conversation and perhaps put these persons that are maybe carrying out these illegal activities that are a part of the police department into check, to realize that they could be held accountable.
Agreed.
So of course we will be continuing to cover this particular story. I know that it's of interest to everyone, and of course we will be gathering more information where we can.
You know, one thing, and just so that we can move on from this, one thing I know is that the leadership of the police department, the political leader, they've been adamant about stomping out corruption.
Yeah.
And we've seen where several police officers have been taken out of the department because of corruption. And I am sure that they will get down to the bottom of it to ensure that, you know what, there has to be a cease and desist on something like this. If I know that the leader of the leader of opposition has said that, you know what, there needs to be a moratorium on gun licenses, and that sparked the conversation. And so we'll see what happens. Like you said, we're going to follow this, but man, it's the new topic.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
For
It's
now, that's what's buzzing right now, guys. Gun licenses.
Yeah, well, aside from gun licenses and giving you a little bit of a lighter topic, what's buzzing is the closing of auditions for KTV The Remix.
KTV.
And we've been teasing this every single day and reminding you guys that the auditions were only 2 days, and that was June 3rd and June 11th. And of course, this season we even offered a little twist by allowing you guys to audition online. But the deadline has come, and that was on Sunday, June 11th, where we had our last audition. And we want to say thank you to everyone that came out. Guys, we had a record showing of persons that came out. It was a lot, and we are so excited to share the auditions with you guys. Of course, you know that before the show officially starts and where we go at the auditorium over at the Bliss, we normally share with you a little bit of a tease of what the auditions are like. And I am excited to see them because I wasn't here for auditions, but I only heard about it, and I heard that it was good. So get excited, guys.
Listen, over 40 submissions, 40 persons came and auditioned. That included the online submissions. It is a record number of persons who want to be a part of KTV 2023. This is a season that is going to be like no other. You need to come out. You need to be there. Of course, we will have the first show will be the auditions, and then of course we go live to the stage. I'm thinking, based on what I've seen, I could tell you guys that the judges have a difficult time in determining who is going to make it to the live stage. I'm telling you, it's going to be that exciting. People that you know, but you didn't think were singers. Man, you guys, that's all I want to say. I think I'll leave it too much.
No, and
I don't want to give away too much, but guys, I am telling you, and we're going to have there were some familiar faces that came back and auditioned. Maybe this is their time, the second go wrong, the third go wrong. This is your time to win. We don't know. I'm giving away a lot of information.
No, you're fine. No, and truly, though, Dwayne, what I love is that we do have persons that return, because this show is all about that. If you enjoy performing, we don't stop anyone from coming back again. And of course, if they already have fan favorites, that's a good opportunity to go and test it out again. Maybe this season is your year that you get to win. So I'm really excited about it as well.
Listen, this is a springboard for careers as artists, Belizean artists. I can tell you, and just to give you guys a little insight, last year's winner is performing all over this country, has a gig every single week on the islands, performing 3 times a day, 3 times for the week. On the island, there's a business here. This provides you with a platform that can springboard your career as an artist, and I'm just proud of where it has, where it started, where it has come, where it's evolved, and believe you me, it can be your time. And so KTV, the remix, it's coming back. And look forward to some twists. I'm hearing that, the team has been working on some twists for this year, so it's going to be a little different. I'm excited. I can't wait to see.
I am too. We're all excited. All right. Well, we're going to get a little bit more of some motivation this morning. And of course, we're going to take things over to our eye opener. It's taken from DailyOn.com, and it goes like this. Being present lets us experience each moment in our lives in a way that cannot be fully lived through memory or fantasy. It can be easy for us to walk through the world in our lives without really being present. While dwelling on the past and living for the future are common pastimes, it is physically impossible to live anywhere but the present moment. We cannot step out our front door and take a left turn to May of last year any more than we can take a right turn to December of 2025. Nevertheless, we can easily miss the future we are waiting for as it becomes the now we are too busy to pay attention to. We then spend the rest of our time playing catch-up to the moment that we just let pass by. During moments like these, it is important to remember that there is only now. When we begin to corral our attention into the present moment, it can be almost overwhelming to be here. There is a state of stillness that has to happen that can take some getting used to, and the mind chatter that so often gets us into our heads and out of the present moment doesn't have as much to do. We may feel a lack of control because we aren't busy planning our next move, assessing our current situation, or anticipating the future. Instead, being present requires that we be flexible, creative, attentive, and spontaneous. Each present moment is completely new, and nothing like it has happened or will ever happen again. As you move through your day, remember to stay present in each moment. In doing so, you will live your life without having to wait for the future or yearn for the past. Life happens to us when we happen to live in the now. What are your thoughts?
I disagree.
You disagree?
I do. I'm so sorry. Well, okay. Well, maybe. So I understand that, you know what, you only live once, you need to live life to the fullest and all of that. I get that. But you have to plan for the future. A lot of us don't know what's going to happen to us in our old age. A lot of us work in the private sector and there's no pension plan. So do you, when you're 60, you're still going to have to be working? And so that's why I disagree. You have to plan for the future. You can't just live your best life. No, live your best life, and then when in the future you got nothing. I'm just thinking, like, I get it. I get it that, you know, being in the present means that you have to be flexible, you have to be creative, attentive, spontaneous. I get it, because hey, you know, but you have to also think about the future. You have to think, oh, you know what am I going to leave behind for my kids?
Okay, I did not look at it like that.
Yes, but
let me tell you what I got from it. All right. So, preparing for the future also begins in the present. You can't have a future without working in the present. So living in the present does not necessarily mean that you're going to stay anxious about what's going to happen 5 or 10 years from now, but it's enjoying what's taking place now. And we're not saying partying and spending your paycheck, but also being present and accepting what is taking place now, thanking for it, thanking God for it, the universe for it, accepting what your situation is, and doing what you need to do now for the future.
I am not seeing the glasses half full, you know. I'm not. Because I'm not. But it says, we may feel a lack of control because we aren't busy planning our next move, assessing our current situation, or anticipating the future. Hello?
Gwen, we don't have time to argue about this eye-opener this morning. We are going to move over to the weather.
What do you guys think? I'm sure there are people who think like me, who are thinking like me right now. What do you guys think?
Well, let's find out, Dwayne, what the Met Service thinks about the weather this morning, because we're going to argue. We have with us forecaster Michelle Augustin on the line. Good morning, forecaster Augustin.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right. Now, we started the show talking about the extreme heat and the record-breaking heat that we've been experiencing here this year. Perhaps we can start on that and to give a bit of a breakdown on why is it that we are experiencing this type of temperatures.
Okay. Well, typically around this time of the year, from April to at least October, it's referred to as the heat season. So that is the time of the year when we have most of the heat waves occurring across the Caribbean region, actually.
Okay.
So as well as in Belize.
I know that you guys also mentioned to us that we should be expecting this year to be an El Nino year. Can we use that opportunity again to inform the public on what El Nino essentially means when it comes to heat, and how it really affects storms developing?
Okay, yes, the El Nino that was expected to did develop last week, late last week. It was declared an El Nino year. So we're currently experiencing El Nino conditions. Now, first of all, when it comes to the heat, El Nino conditions for us usually means that we'll be having warmer temperatures and less rainfall, so drier than normal conditions.
Which is taking place.
Right, which we see occurring already. So even when the rain starts, there will be periods of dry spells, if you will, during the rainy season because of the El Nino conditions.
Right.
Okay.
Now, with this warmer temperature, there's a lot of conversations happening where persons are expecting a higher than normal hurricane season. Could you use this opportunity to dispel that if that needs to be?
Right. Again, for us, El Nino conditions typically means that we will see less storm development, less thunderstorm development, which usually translates into less hurricane or tropical storm development.
Okay.
So, yeah, El Nino normally for us would mean that we would see lower than normal or less than average hurricanes, number of hurricanes or storms affecting the area.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. Well, moving into the weather conditions today that we can expect, can we get a general situation of what today will be like?
All right, well, the east flow has shifted a bit from the stifling southeast, so we now see an easterly airflow prevailing over the area. So that should help to moderate temperatures.
Okay.
Today is expected to continue a bit warm, yes, but as the week progresses, we should see a decrease in those temperatures, a gradual decrease.
All right. These numbers look exactly like
Same, yeah.
yesterday.
That's what we said, like.
And as it relates to any advisories, any storm watches that you guys have?
Just the heat advisory. We don't have any storm watches. There is no storm development expected over the next 4 to 7 days, I would say. So as far as a week from now, we don't expect any tropical storm development. However, later in the weekend, if I could get to that later in the weekend, we do expect a very active tropical wave
Okay.
Yeah.
to traverse the area. So that should bring some rainfall for us late Sunday into Monday. So the beginning of next week looks a bit wet.
Thank
Okay.
you, Jesus.
All right. All right. Well, that's great news. So I am assuming that will come with lower temperatures as well. Well, thank you so much, forecaster Augustine. We appreciate the information. As you mentioned, we can expect warmer weather throughout the rest of the week as well. So we will be looking out for that.
You know, it is so strange,
you.
right? Thank you,
You're
Ms.
welcome.
Michelle.
Right.
You know, it is so strange, right, Sabrina? Guys, growing up, they never just tell you the hotter the weather is, that means a big hurricane will come. I can remember that being said, and so it's like, it's so interesting now that you're hearing, you know what, it's an El Nino year, it's warmer temperatures, it means that less storms are going to be formed, and it's just like I'm baffled. It's like, you know?
Yeah.
Well, what happened? I don't know, but it's good news,
Yeah.
right? Because
I was just gonna say, why you so sad?
but
Thank
it's good
you.
news. But it's good news.
We'll take the bad heat if it means no hurricanes. You know.
I understand. I understand
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But all right, we're going to move into our show lineup this morning, and we
Yeah.
have 3 great conversations. And I'm sure some of them you definitely want to hear.
Yeah.
And that's because our first conversation is about the rights of a renter. We'll be joined by Steve Pereira to talk to us about the rights of a renter, and I'm sure we all have questions.
Of course we do. They're landlords.
All right, let's move on.
In our second segment, we'll be joined by representatives from the Belize Boxing Development Council to talk about the WBC competition that takes place, I believe, in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. And in our last conversation, we'll be joined by YWCA to talk about their programs that they have.
Yeah.
A lot of great conversations this morning, but we're going to start off with our first one after the break, so don't go away.
Yeah.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
Sign up for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
And now, the hottest match of the evening. Get ready for action! Here they come. Amazing! They're unstoppable, unbeatable. They have him on the ropes. The heat rises to the top. 1, 2, and 3. They're on fire! Chiladas. Fire up the taste of Belize with the new Chiladas crunchy tortilla taco chips in its hot chili flavor. Fiery habanero brings the heat. They're on fire! Chiladas. From Snackers, done right, done here.
Tensions are already thick in the studio, and that's because we're talking about renters' rights. And we have with us here Steve Pereira. He is an attorney at law to give us a better understanding of the rights of a renter and, of course, the rights of landlords as well. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
I'm sorry, we had a whole show on during the break time, but we're here to talk about the rights of a renter. We know, Steve, that there are a lot of renters in Belize City, all over the country, and we have young people renting as well as older people, families renting homes and apartments as well. So to get the conversation rolling out, perhaps we could give an overview of what are the general rights of a renter and start there.
All right. Generally, the first step is to identify what will be the terms of the relationship between the landlord and the tenant. In some cases, in most cases, we only have oral arrangements because a lot of people don't have written leases. So we have oral arrangements and we have written leases, but both of them are pretty much governed by the same kind of principles. We need the relationship between who is the landlord, who is the tenants, and we need to know the covenants by which the relationship will be regulated. Under written agreements, we generally have specific terms where landlords would indicate what all requirements or what all expectations they have from the tenants. And similarly, it would state what all the tenant should expect from the landlord. That helps a lot because it defines clearly the roles of each party. When it comes to oral agreements do subsist as well. They are recognized in courts, but it's more difficult to ascertain what were the discussions and relationship because you can't prove it. But anything helps in oral agreements. Text exchanges between landlords and the tenant, oral arrangements made in front of their spouse, things like that, what is said, and also what is done. But the general terms would be that the tenant, the landlord, under oral agreements that are less than 3 years, that the landlord has a duty to maintain the building and to ensure that the building is fit for human habitation. when it comes to written leases, that can be changed, where the landlord can switch that role and say, well, no, I want the tenant to be responsible for all the maintenance and cleaning and upkeep. There are also implied provisions where the tenant expects to have quiet enjoyment. Once you pay this rent to the landlord, you expect that the landlord respects your privacy and does not interfere with the building during the time that you have this tenancy.
Okay.
What's important to note is that even if you don't or you fail to make the payment for your rent any given month, the landlord, because of that duty that he has to you for quiet enjoyment, that he cannot plug out your electricity, he can't take off your water, he can't interfere with your tenancy. Oftentimes we find that's not the case. We find that the landlord would try these different things to get the tenants out of the building, which is illegal and should not be done, and could result in a claim being filed against the landlord.
Wow.
So it's best to have a lease, a written document between the landlord and the tenant rather than having it oral. Right?
Agreed. In any case, I think it's always better to have a clear understanding as to the relationship between the landlord and tenant and the terms. So something written, even if it's not by a lawyer, something written helps a great deal because it shows the understanding between both.
It's interesting because a lot of times the tenant would tend to take on certain obligations in terms of making sure that the yard is cut, making sure that the plumbing is fixed and all of that. But there are some times where that is not on the tenant, it's the landlord that is supposed to provide those services because you're paying for that, right?
Correct. It's all about the agreement that is made. We have cases where the tenant agrees to do that and say, well, I'll take care of the property, I'll take care of the maintenance. And obviously that's going to be recognized in the value of the rent. Yeah. So a cheaper rent would indicate that this person would do all these maintenance and cleaning.
Right.
But the higher the rent, it's expected, and most tenants would enter into arrangements where the landlord would take on these repairs and maintenance. So it's about negotiation and what they end up ultimately agreeing to.
You know, you said something that really struck out to me, and that was landlords disconnecting certain utilities whenever a tenant is not paying their rent. What are instances that you've seen something like that take place? And as you mentioned, is it something that perhaps the landlord would have to give them a notice before they can go to those measures of disrupting the situation or the living situation of the tenant?
Okay, what usually happens is that if a person, for whatever reason, is not able to pay the rent, it frustrates the landlord.
Yeah.
And most landlords are aware that the process of collecting and the process of evicting that tenant could be cumbersome. You have to go through the courts. And if you go through the courts, it takes some time. So I've seen some instances where landlords have tried to take matters in their own hand, and they've dismantled the roof so that it becomes inconvenient. They've plugged out electricity so that it causes problems. The person can't stay there and they hope the person leaves, or they disconnect water. Now, again, it's illegal to do this. And so what the law maintains is that the landlord should not do this, and if he does, he's responsible for any losses and consequences that result from his actions against these tenants.
But you know,
he has to follow the process, the legal process.
I could play devil's advocate for landlords and say, well, you are accessing my property where you agreed to pay and you are not paying. That is my property at the end of the day. What do you say to that?
This is true, and I believe the law recognizes that, and that's why there is a mode or a process that they can follow. They can go to court and get that payment. But the way the law is written, it is also to protect the families, because sometimes we have incidences where unfortunate things happen and we're not able to pay the rent. But it protects the families and the tenants, because you might have kids in that house that are not responsible for the actions of their parents. They might need to go to school the next day. They have to eat that day. And if it were that landlords were able to do these things, it would affect the livelihoods of these kids as well at these homes. So the court takes all of this into consideration when the landlord goes to court to ask for evictions or for the collection of rent. The court looks at all these things and makes that decision. So the landlord is not without an avenue, just that it's a monitored avenue based on those principles where the courts would be able to look at the entire scenario and indicate
and
when
perhaps
he's to
timely
pay.
too.
Correct.
The inability to pay, I think that came up primarily during the COVID pandemic, because a lot of persons ended up losing their jobs and were unable to make payments for rent. And I think there was this, I can't remember what it was. I think maybe the Prime Minister had said that it's unethical to kick somebody out of their home or out of the rental space because they're unable to pay. Did this become a factor or something that a lot of landlords had to face?
I'm sure every landlord had to face it. Most landlords, what they did was they reduced their rent to help, because most of them knew at that point in time whether their tenant was a good tenant and simply wasn't able to pay. A lot of landlords who rented to restaurants, to persons who worked within the tourism industry, they recognized that those persons didn't have that opportunity to pay, so they would have reduced the rent. There wasn't anything put in legislation for the rent to be mandated to be reduced.
Yeah.
So it was more on the relationship between the landlord and the tenant, and the landlord recognizing the inability of the tenant to pay at that time. So they generally helped as best as they could. On the other hand, there were many landlords who also had obligations to the banks and could not waive the rent or could not reduce the rent. And so they were a bit strict about having those persons who could not rent vacate. But still, that had to go through the process. And when it goes through the process, those eviction applications must be heard by a judge or a magistrate. And when it's heard, that's when the magistrate or the judge could take into consideration the effects of what's going on in society and the need to have time to relocate. And that's generally done on a case-by-case basis by the magistrate or the judge. What I think a lot of people don't recognize in Belize, though, and I've seen it, is that a lot of landlords aren't aware that they cannot file eviction claims for properties in the magistrate court if their rent is above the rent of 1,200. I think it's 14,400 per year. Yes, they have to go to the high courts, but generally they like to use the magistrate court because it's faster and the orders come a lot faster. But that's not the way it should be. Tenants are able to say, no, I pay more than $1,200 a month. You need to take me through another court, which is a longer process, and that court takes more consideration into the situation.
When we're saying a longer process, how long could that look like?
Eviction claims in the magistrate court could go anywhere from 1 month to 6 months. Eviction claims in the Supreme Court, anywhere between 3 months and maybe 6 months as well, or more.
And during that time, the tenant remains in the property and doesn't pay?
Well, the tenant remains in the property, but the requirement to pay still provides. So at the end of the eviction, when the court says, well, this individual has 3 months to vacate or 4 months to vacate, during that time, you still have the obligation to make those payments. If you can't, at some point in time, they can file a claim against you to recoup what you would owe at that time. But it gives you time so that you and your kids aren't put out on the street immediately, because that, again, would affect the livelihood of kids and families.
I'm not trying to be like, this is a lucrative business. The rental of property, the residential spaces is the way to go if you want, well, that's what they say. It's the way to go.
Yes.
You're saying right there that, you know what, a property, if you're paying $1,200 a month, and honestly in Belize City, nowhere you to go, you're not to pay less than $500 to rent a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment. You know, not even a house.
Correct.
Not outside, not even make we start. They're like nothing below $1,000. And so it's interesting that, you know what, this is what society has become. But then to add to that, we have to then pay 3 months of rent, a security deposit, a first month, and a last month. Like, what the hell?
Yes.
at $1,000, that means I need to find $3,000 if I need to move into a place. It's ridiculous. People don't have those kind of monies.
Yeah, it is hard. Again, the situation, it's not 3 months rent, but it would appear that it's security first month and the last month.
3 months.
It's 3 months. What has transpired over the years is that landlords have recognized that they're not able to keep security deposits for the last month rent. So when persons leave, they're not able to keep that, or leave late. They're not able to use their security deposit as the rent for the last month. And so because of that, they've started this new practice of charging first month, the last month, and a security deposit. It's entirely about the negotiations and the type of property and which property is being rented. But what's most common is it should be the security deposit and your first month rent. And it does become hard when it's the rent, with this 3 months
of rent.
Yeah.
So I just want to get some clarity. Is it mandatory or is it by the choice of the landlord that they can include the last month as well in a required deposit to be paid before moving in?
Correct. If the landlord demands and says, listen, for my unit or this unit, I require first month, last month, and a security deposit, he can dictate that because it's his apartment. It's his right to decide what is required for the purpose of renting it. Again, you'll find that the landlords that require that are generally, as you indicated, on the north side, and they would require those because they want to protect their interests and they know their obligations to the bank and what's not. But it's not always required. It's not mandated. It's entirely up to the negotiations between the parties.
So basically, if you say, landlord, I don't have the last payment, but I have first and security, they can still say, and it can be legal, well, sorry, you can't rent my property.
Correct, because that's their terms. They're not able, see what has happened is that in the past, landlords, like I said, had tried to keep the security deposit for the last month's rent, but that's not allowed. The security deposit is what it is. It's simply for the security for damages done to the property, and if there is no damage done to the property during the tenancy, the landlord has to return that security deposit.
Listen, but they don't, man.
Yes.
Tell me the last time you get back your security deposit when you made the rent. It doesn't happen, and they owe me or no. They owe me. I want my money. But anyway, but I'm saying in terms of the security deposit, it's like oftentimes people don't get it back, and so that's where there's a legal issue.
Correct,
right?
and that's a legal issue. The tenant is free to take anyone who doesn't give back the security deposit to court, and the courts have been minded to order that the landlords return those security deposit. The security deposit can be used, but it has to be used for that purpose, like I indicated, for the repairs of damage done to the unit that's rented by the tenant. So if you break the shower, you break the kitchen, you break the cabinets, those type of things. But if it is that you're a good tenant and you didn't break any of those things, then your security deposit should be returned to you.
But that normally doesn't happen because over the period of time, or at least the time for the tenancy, you would have that repairs are done throughout that time. So very likely when you're moving out, you'll sweep them up and the place is fine.
Correct.
So the security deposit should be given back, and they don't. Instead, they take it for themselves.
And that's why I always advise the tenants, when you're leaving, it's good to take photos, pictures, videos of the place when you're leaving, because that helps a lot.
Yeah.
But you mainly represent the landlords, not the tenants.
We represent both. It varies.
But it's just the landlords that come to you.
Well,
let's then talk about contracts, because as you mentioned, you can acquire, you can rent a property with or without a written contract. There can be verbal exchanges as well between the tenant and the landlord that, I guess, equates to the same thing. But what would you say to cases where there is a written contract or there is also a verbal arrangement, but the landlord does not commit to the obligations that they stated they would? What are the rights of the tenant in that case?
Well, as indicated, once you have a written document, it becomes a lot easier for either party to enforce the terms. So if the tenant has a situation where he or she enters into a lease agreement with the landlord. If the landlord fails to comply with any of those terms, then he or she can go to the courts and force the landlord to comply with those terms. So if there are obligations in the lease agreement for the landlord to maintain the yard, to repair items that have remained unrepaired, then they are able to take that to court and enforce that against the landlord. And that's why it's encouraged that they do that and get it into writing.
I think the problem is that a lot of renters don't know that they have these rights. And they tend to just, you know what, whatever that landlord, that his property, so I need to just go with whatever way he say. But no, that's not the case. You need to stand up for your rights. You understand? I mean, like, you need to be vocal about it. No, it's not my job to fix the plumbing. It's your job to fix the plumbing. I shouldn't have to invest $150 in getting the faucet fixed. If I do that, then I need to take it out to your rent. And I think that is what some people have done, but it shouldn't be done because then at the end of the day, one wrong no fix the next right.
Correct. And then the landlord sees it that you're shorting his rent and not paying his rent. There are obligations under our law where, and this is one of the strongest ones, where the landlord must ensure that when he rents to you for your, let's say it's a residence, when he rents to you, he has to ensure that the place is fit for human habitation. That's very important because fit for human habitation means that it should be free from wet, it shouldn't be leaking, it shouldn't have rodents, it shouldn't have all these things. It has to be sufficient where it's safe for you to live there with you and your family. And I think that obligation hasn't been enforced against a lot of people in the past because sometimes you'd be surprised at the quality and the status of some of these units when we go to court and find out.
So do I, as a renter, can I go to, like, say, public health and say, hey, I need you to come and check this place because I think that, okay, I have this
mold,
and hold the landlord accountable in that sense?
Yes, it happens a lot, especially for mold because of Belize, where if you have leaks in the apartments upstairs and it's coming down, you could see the mold. It's very unhealthy for tenants, and tenants do that. They call health department to check the mold to see if it's a really bad situation, if it can be remedied, and those type of things. And then they send that to the landlord requesting that they fix it.
Are you guys doing that? I've never done that. And I'm thinking that, oh, maybe I should watch you.
Let's talk about the hurricane season that we're currently in.
Yeah.
Is that the responsibility of the landlord to prepare the building for the tenant's safety when it comes to weathering these storms?
That's a very good question. Again, it helps if it's in the lease. If in the lease agreement it says that during an event of a hurricane or a thunderstorm or some kind of smaller hurricane, that the landlord would board up the house or put on shutters. It would be on the landlord. It would be an obligation of the landlord to do that during that time. What we find, though, in practicality is that when the hurricane's coming, the landlords, they're busy boarding up their house. And so they don't have the time to go to their apartments. Again, if it's something that the tenant requires, it needs to be put in writing so that the landlord has that obligation. Because without that, then it's a risk on both the landlord and the tenant, because the landlord is not protecting his building.
So basically you're saying, as a tenant, if you are about to rent or lease an apartment, a living space, make sure you ask all these questions before.
Correct.
And of course, if you can get it in writing, that would be even better.
Correct.
But I was thinking about something else, Steve. What about cases where I have been renting a property for X amount of period, and my landlord tells me, hey, rent have to go up, cost of living high?
Yes.
How does that work?
That's a very good question.
I think that the reverse of the COVID when they carried down.
Now we're inflation.
Yes.
300 can't pay my.
Well, the purpose of these leases, going back to the written agreement, the purpose of those leases is to ensure that between the landlord and the tenant, they have an understanding that this rent will be constant for an extended period of time. So if you have a lease for a year, then you're sure that the rent can't increase for a year. If you have a lease for 5 years, you're sure that the lease can't increase for during that period of 5 years. If you don't have a lease, then landlords generally what they're doing, they don't have the right to immediately demand that you increase the rent. But what they would do is they would evict you and say, well, we no longer want to continue with the tenancy. And then they'll evict you, and then they'll get a tenant who's willing to pay at a higher value. So again, it's negotiating between the tenants. We have cases where that has happened, and the tenants have simply informed landlords, listen, I can't pay the increase. I will vacate, but I need 2 months. And they understand that after that 2 months, the landlord will raise his rent for the new person coming in. But there's no way to keep the landlord from raising unless you enter into a lease agreement with him for an extended period of time.
You know,
which you could also ask for as well.
Yes, you could
if
do
you're
that.
do your contracts, guys. It really saves money.
It's so interesting because I know someone in Belmopan that has a contract. It was for, I think, 3 years at $400, and just recently, maybe like 2 months ago, the landlord just said that, oh, okay, you know what, I'm going to raise the rent by another additional $200, and it's for a 1-bedroom. And anyways, yeah, for a 1-bedroom, and you don't have a choice. Either you pay it or you have to leave.
So that's illegal.
Well, that's not. It's not enforceable. So, for example, if you have a lease and they're trying to raise it during the period of the lease and the terms of that lease doesn't allow you to increase it, then they can't. Then they won't have a way to enforce it. They can't evict you during the term of that lease because you've paid what is required, and they won't have grounds to evict you. So the tenant in that case should simply keep it keep the payment pursuant to what the agreement says, and no court would turn their eyes to that.
You know, I have another scenario. There was, I don't want to talk about myself, but there's this point where you've been renting for 10 years, and just because the landlord decides that, oh, you know what, I want to change the function of the space, I'm not going to renew this lease, I need you to leave. But they will tell you this the same month that the lease is supposed to expire. I can't find somewhere within 3 weeks to move and find the first, last, and security deposit to move. Like,
yes, that's hard.
Are they allowed to say, you know, hey, kick you out?
No, they're not. The way it works is that if you have a lease and the lease is coming to an end, and the lease, let's say the lease expires, like you said, let's say it expires in December. If the landlord decides not to renew, then he has to follow the whole process of evicting you. He can't simply say, I need you to come out from the property immediately. He has to give you the proper notice, and you would have time to come out. If it is that you are unable to do it, which happens most of the time, like you said, because you need to find first
grace
month.
Period, like a grace period certificate.
Correct. You need to find the first month, you need to find the last month, and you need for security for your new location.
Yeah.
Then honestly, at some points, it's easier for you to wait out the process and have them take you through the courts, so that when you reach to the courts, you could ask for that additional time that you require.
So how long is that grace period or that notice that they are required to give a tenant?
It's generally 30 days if it's a month-to-month. After the lease expires, it becomes a month-to-month tenancy based on the fact that you're paying per month. And so they would have to give you that 30-day period. And so no matter what, let's say the December time comes, they'll give you the notice, you have that January period to come out. But you have that 1 month, but if it's still not possible, you have the ability to wait it out and go to court and request a further period of time.
This situation was interesting because I was told the December 1st that, hey, we now renew it at the end of the month, whatever, and then I'm like, okay, so how the hell am I supposed to get a new place and December of all months? It's
hard.
It's hard, you understand? And so it was interesting. You were in that position and you're like, all right, now you have Christmas to come up, you have all these plans, like, now I need to find 3 months of rent for a new property, and you know, and it was ridiculous. And I feel like sometimes it's unfair to the renter because it's like you put yourself or at least the landlord sometimes put renters in a weird position, and it makes you feel like you're bound to fail.
Yeah.
You know, and so how do you ensure that we as renters remain protected? You know, overall.
Yeah. The main thing is to ensure that you have a lease agreement, and a lease agreement that you've read and you're preparing for. Because if you know your lease is coming to an end in that December, you could, in advance, if you have a 5-year lease, you could, at 4 years, you could start planning immediately and say, listen, I want an extension to this lease. And you would be able to get the mindset of the landlord to see what's coming and what's coming in the following year. The problem is that a lot of people, both landlords and the tenants, like to procrastinate, and they deal with it at the last minute, and it becomes hard because, like you said, in December you have other financial obligations. You have all kinds of different things that you need to make payments for. It's the start of the new year. You have school. You have all these different things, and so it's each month comes with its own hardships that you need to meet for that time.
You know, as we're winding things down, we spent a lot of the conversation talking about not only the rights of the renter, but also the rights of the landlord. And what I gather from this entire conversation is that there is an important to have a written contract, a written lease. Even better if it's stated out for a time frame. But let's talk about, in the event a tenant breaks the lease and decides they want to move out before that year or before that 5-year period. Does the landlord have any rights in that case? Yes,
indeed. The obligations and the conditions and the terms of the lease not only protects the tenant, but it also protects the landlord. It allows the landlords to ensure that they know for this period of time that they will collect this rent. If the tenant vacates without giving proper notices pursuant to the lease, the landlords have the ability to file a claim against those tenants to collect those rents. The law protects both sides, and we have to also see it also through the lens of the landlord. The landlord also has obligations. The landlord also has bank notes to pay, the loans to pay. So they need an ability to ensure that they are able to collect those rents from tenants. Because on the flip side, we do have situations where we have tenants who, and it's not all, but we do have tenants that exist in Belize that just they get in and they don't pay rent. And that becomes a problem for some landlords, and that's what frustrates a lot of landlords because they need that rent to meet their obligations. Without that, they are not able to pay their loans at the bank
or pay their own bills.
Their own bills.
And that's something that, I mean, while we're having this conversation and recognizing the challenges of renters that are sometimes, or tenants that are sometimes exploited by their landlords, we have to also acknowledge that this is a business for these landlords as well. This is their livelihood for a lot of them. It's not a passive income thing all the time, where that's their side business. So that was the reason why I felt it important to not only outline where the tenant has the right along the lines of a contract, but also the landlord. So just to revisit that, you're saying that if I signed a lease for 1 year and I left at 6 months, I decided that I wanted to leave and break this lease at 6 months, I owe that landlord 6 months rent still?
If there is no termination clause that allows you to terminate within 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, then yes, you would owe it. But if your lease agreement says that both parties are able to terminate this lease with 2 months notice, then you could terminate the lease early.
But that would have to also be in the contract.
Correct, that would be in the contract.
But if it's not there,
then you would owe the balance of that, yes.
Wow.
There are additional pins that I need to plug there, because if it is, for whatever reason, let's say you have a year contract and you breach it at 3 months. If it is that it doesn't have the termination clause, then it would appear that you owe the balance of the remaining months. But if the landlord is able to secure a new tenant for, let's say, 3 months after, then your liability would be only for those 3 months, because he's not able to collect double rent.
Okay, got it. Very good input right there.
And just for me, in terms of, does it work the same for a renter in terms of, you know what, you as the landlord decide that, okay, you want to rent at a higher price, and so you decide that, you want to cut my lease, and then I'm aggrieved. I've been put in a bad position. Can I then file a claim against you saying that, oh, hey, you know what? You've put me in a bad position.
You owe me money
you
now.
Owe me.
You owe me my rent.
Damage.
Correct. Well, you would have the right to remain where you are because of the lease. So you'd have the right to enforce the terms of the lease to say, listen, you've sent me this notice, but it's not worth the words that are on it. I'm not being removed, and I'm not leaving this location until my lease is completed.
All right. This was a great conversation, Steve. I know that we could have had it, a lot more. We could have really touched on a lot more topics, but I think we really covered a lot of the bases when it comes to the rights of a renter and, of course, the rights of a landlord as well. I'm hoping that this information was useful to you, our viewers, whoever's renting or is deciding to rent. Definitely consider getting a written lease. Try to include all the necessary information as it relates to time frame, disaster preparedness, everything that you could possibly think of, because it will be useful to not only you, the tenant, but also the landlord in the future.
Your security deposits, please, like we've always thought that, okay, they keep your security deposit. They don't. Get back your security deposit. If you need to go to the court, go to the court and get that security deposit, right? We're going to go. Yeah. So a quick break. When we come back, we will have the folks from the Belize Boxing Development Council. Stay tuned for that.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
I can't believe we the grill pan is whole the grill. Well, don't worry about nothing. If we have a new one at the Benny's Father's Day Fest.
Oh, that they happen again?
Yes, and this year
Benny's is giving 19% off store-wide. Yes, 19% off everything.
Why we have for them, bro?
But wait, don't forget, the race is still on.
The Benny's 100-car race. The racers will once again compete to claim the top prize and become the champion.
Anyways, look on the time. If you have a grill, I need to go.
Alright, yeah, bro. New whip?
Push the start.
Alright, big time.
Boy, Kagali push the start, man.
The Benny's Father's Day Fest, Saturday, June 17th, Benny's Superstore. This one you don't want to miss.
The Belize Tourism Board presents the Belize International Music and Food Festival, Savor the Rhythm, Pre-Festival Tour, Punta Gorda.
The Belize International Music and Food Festival Savor the Rhythm pre-festival tour Punta Gorda goes down Saturday, June 17th from 7 p.m. to midnight at the George Price Welcome Plaza. There's going to be cash prizes and a professional music studio recording session to be awarded. Don't miss out on the after party with the New Edition Band with free entrance all night long. The Belize Tourism Board's Belize International Music and Food Festival 2.0 Savor the Rhythm pre-festival tour Punta Gorda. Don't miss it. Sponsored by Smart, Coca-Cola, Bellikin, the Punta Gorda Town Council, Digi Wallet, the Angeles Press Limited, Travelers Liquors.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Good morning and welcome back. We have our second segment and we're joined by Assad Martinez. He's the founder of Belize Boxing Development Council, as well as Mark Neal. He's a promoter for an upcoming championship boxing event on the 24th of June. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it with boxing. It's been a while since we've seen boxing, a local boxing.
And the level that Mr. Martinez is trying to put it on, because it's been like 5 to 4 years ago since Fitzroy Giuseppe at Birds Isle. Oh. That's the last championship fight they have in Belize. But she could more go into details and tell you about the belt aspect of it. So,
like Mark said, it's been since February the 18th, 1978, no? That we host any sort of championship of this caliber. Although for the past 13 years, boxing has been progressing. At present, the fighter Eduardo Esquivel out of Cayo, he has 20 professional fights in the nation.
Wow.
You see, so since I've seen you, we have been doing boxing, you know. And this is a very important step for Belize, because we're looking at 45 years since we had any sort of championship within the nation.
Yeah.
Now this event in itself grants a benchmark, because one thing, we do have talent in the nation, although there's a lack of investment. We haven't set any domestic benchmark for greatness. And this is very, very important for young people. You know, young people need to see something, just as if no one in the nation achieved a master's degree or a bachelor's degree, there's no benchmark for educational achievements, no? So we look at this sport in particular. Boxing is not just a physical sport. Boxing is a sport that grants the participant, whether it's a boy or girl, male or female, what we call functional competency. Meaning it takes emotional intelligence to continue to think while you're getting hit to your head and your body. So when some parents come to me and say, well, Mr. Martinez, I want to think that I don't want my child to be involved in this sport. I said, if your child is involved in this sport, first and foremost, it takes intelligence to conceptualize and learn a technical skill like boxing.
Yeah.
And this can transcend it into the classroom. It allows the child to be attentive, to learn how to move, how to slip, how to counter. So it's a sport I would want to say that's unlike any other sport. You know?
You know, it's interesting because I know that a lot of young people now are engaged how do you ensure that, you know what, it's not only the older folks that love boxing and are engaged in boxing, but you're starting from the foundation from these younger age?
Well, any sport, when it comes to its development, starts from the young. The young is the best material of any nation, and we as Belizeans, we don't value the young people. And the most important, I would want to say, resources of any nation, it's its young people.
Exactly.
There's a group of indigenous people in Kenya called Maasai. And when one Maasai chief sees the other one, he doesn't say, boy, how much herd of cattle you got or how much wives have you attained. He asks, how are the children? And if the children of the society as well, the society as well. So we need to, you know, really understand the true concept of nation building. And this starts with investing in our young people. It is not every human being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted the intellectual capacity to go through these schools of academia. There's those who have physical ability and different aptitudes to learn sports. And sports is an economic reality. We know this because our young people, we turn the TV on and we say, boy, such and such to fight, boy, Barca to play, Cleveland to play. But it's sad that the policy makers have turned our young people into watchers. We're trying to set the proper paradigm to allow our young people to join the global talent pool. And this is what this championship is about. This is a notable championship because it's a globally recognized entity. The World Boxing Council is the same WBC that Ali had the belt, Sugar Ray Leonard had the belt. We can go on, Mayweather and Errol Spence, etc., etc. So we're trying to lay something for the young of the nation. And this is not about me and Mark. This is about the young child behind a zinc fence whose parent, who some auntie or uncle sent them boxing gloves, who's punching from the coconut tree.
Right.
You know, Assad, when I hear the Belize Boxing Development Council resurging boxing back in Belize, I think of older heads that really, you know, spearheaded that movement. And I think of Henrietta Gill, which was a woman in her own right that really earned a lot of respect because of her involvement in boxing, not only with young people, but also prisoners. She also worked at the Belize Central Prison and trained inmates there.
Actually, I talked to Miss Gill the other day. She's here from California.
Yes.
So she's definitely a pillar when it comes to sports. And we have had notable athletes. Look at Fitzroy Giuseppe. Look at Lightburn. Both of these gentlemen, if you add their victories, if you had their victories, they probably have about 100 odd professional victories. So we can go from Giuseppe, Lightburn, Deacas, 16 Thompson, you know, and so many different. So we have had the talent in the nation. But what we're missing was the intangible infrastructure for progression. You can build an infrastructure, whether it's a gym or whatever, but you need the intangible infrastructure, the people, the knowledge base to set the proper paradigm for progression. Unless the infrastructure is just going to decay. So we can look at the fighters of old. We're trying to set the proper paradigm that we can create notable world champions from the nation. You know, we love when the Belizean Americans succeed, you know. But what happened to the Ban and Reyes Belizean who's in this environment, who has been neglected, no?
But it just seems like every time you develop a kid, even be track and field, whatever it is, after they get wrong 16, 17, it seems to just disappear. Where they go, we don't know. They have kids, they just disappear. And that's the problem with Belize. They don't have the continual, you know, backings behind these kids to really support them to that point. My thing is now with Mr. Martinez, because I see the type of work he did. From the time he came back to Belize, he did his work, and I watched the struggle, the ups and downs. Like everybody always see the ending, but they've never seen the before, the middle. The work that really put into it. So my thing is from me and next promoter, Mr. Urbina.
Orange Walk.
In Orange Walk. It's just to build a sports. It's not like money in there right now. It's just something that we building to get
to get interest.
Correct.
From young people.
Correct.
So let's talk about that. What has been the response from young people?
Well, it has been an amazing response because young people are always seeking a sense of belonging. They're seeking the proper caregiver, no? Because when we look at the nation, we don't like to speak about it. There's many households that's developmentally unfriendly. You know, whether it be the child is devoid of nutrition, whether it's different sort of abuse. So children are always trying to seek belonging. So this organization is really a caregiving organization. We also have granted some of the young of this who have joined our programs the liberty to continue their education, because many children, you know, when they graduate Standard 6, that the family doesn't have the economic capacity to let them move further. Either they say, boy, you go to farm, mix cement, or you end up the Hattieville.
Yeah.
So we find some young people that we're able to finance their education through the organization also, no?
Okay.
Yes.
That was going to be my next question in terms of, you know, I think as a society, our youth, they're angry.
Very.
They need a place to take out that anger or an outlet to be engaged.
They're imploding.
And so I think that boxing gives them that. Like I did it with dancing. You know, sometimes you were frustrated, you were angry, and so when you got on the dance floor, it's that you give
it's
your
a
all.
release.
You know, it's a release.
You know, when something is imploding like a volcano, it implodes for a amount of years. Then when they erupt, catastrophic.
But then now you guys are providing them with technique and the guidance to where to focus that energy.
Actually, to express themselves inside of this ring, to feel confident. I give an example. We did an event in Belmopan, and one of the young guys came to me. He said, "Sir, today was my birthday, and you did this for me." He was happy. He won his fight. He fought a young fighter from Guatemala. And he felt accomplished, and it was actually his birthday. I was stunned that he came up to me emotional. He said, "Sir, today is my birthday, and you do this for me." And no matter the struggle, that gives value to my efforts. To see how I have a positive impact on a young person. This is important to me. It's not just economic, because to be honest, there's no real economics in sports and Belize as yet.
As yet. So
I would say as yet.
So we're trying to.
So we're trying to set this paradigm for these young guys to achieve a sustainable alternative sources of income. Because we're not just looking at the psychosocial aspect of the sport, we're looking at the economic aspect. And boxing is an economic sport. There's guys are making millions of dollars in 36 minutes, which is 12 rounds. So we have physical ability, and not to be condescending to the other sports. Generally, our anatomic structure as Belizean men and women were designed for combat sports. You don't see no 7 foot to walk wrong, yeah?
Exactly.
You barely see a 6'7" or 6'8", but our bodies are designed for combat sports. Our bodies are designed for athletics, gymnastics, etc. But we have not invested in really anything, but we will invest in a concert that doesn't bring social value.
That's what I was going to come up to, but go ahead.
Listen to this, yeah. You can approach a sponsor and they would tell you, "Oh, Mr. Martinez, we don't support boxing because it's a sport of violence." And I tell them, but you would support concerts which has no social value, which takes away from the society, and often harm families, because people go enjoy, they drink, and often there's fights. Some people get killed, they crash their car. So it really brings no social value, but you don't want to support sports that's just trying to set the proper paradigm for the young people of your nation.
So do you think it's a case that perhaps the society here in Belize don't recognize boxing as a legitimate sport and they only see it as aggression and fighting?
Yes, but how can that be when many times people are watching these international bouts?
But here locally, they see it as it's violence?
I would say those who are not informed.
Yeah.
And I think that people that comes before us, they were promoters, but basically there was also pocket promoters. They're more interested in their pockets. So they wasn't interested in more building the sports to the level where myself or Mr. Martinez trying to take it. So I think that's the part that they kind of little iffy about. So I think if once they see the type of work we put out, or Mr. Martinez put out, and we put out to that extent, they would more get into it. So we telling them or asking them, come out, support the fight, come see the fight, and see the quality of the fight that Mr. Martinez.
So we're expecting a big competition, a big boxing fight.
We're expecting a notable championship.
All right.
This time a championship.
Let's talk about it. Where will it be? Who's fighting? And why should we come out?
Okay, well, the main event is one of the fighters that I handle from Kaya. Those who been watching boxing in the nation know Eduardo Mecanico Esquivel. He's fighting at 10 rounds for the FECOM Box Silver Championship against Rodriguez of Chiapas. Then we have a female co-main event.
Yes.
Oh, okay, nice.
Who is Jessica Basulto against Sanchez of Mexico City. And both these women are notable fighters because they're ranked in the world. These are world-ranked fighters.
Really?
Basulto just recently fought in Costa Rica 2 months ago for the World Boxing Association world title. She lost to Yucasta of Costa Rica, right? So she's ranked, I would believe, 6th in the WBA and 4th in the IBF. And so is Sanchez. These women are notable
On the screen right there.
athletes, no?
Yeah.
And we bring the women in as a tool of inspiration
To other females
to other
here.
young, because often I get calls from other nations, do we have women fighters? And I said no. So we bring these women in to inspire young girls who are interested in the sport, who can become champions. There's economics.
Yeah.
Some of these women who are champions, they have children. I know some champions, world champions, who have 2, 3 children. So it doesn't take away from their ability to conceive children because they're getting hit. They're athletes. And we have some young girls in the nation who have those capacities. And to be honest, the female athlete, her aptitude is more keen than the male athlete. The boy said, of course, that's not true. The girl, she learns, she humbles herself. The young boy, he feel like he don't know. But the little girl, she'll come, she's able to learn quicker than the young boy.
Yeah.
Her aptitude is different.
More strategic.
I think one of the things is in terms of it's a discipline. You need to train, and that means physical training as well as training inside the ring. Talk to us about that level of support that is provided to those who want to pursue this sport.
We know the support is at a minimum. And I do understand that even at the highest level of the sport protocol, the Ministry of Sports, the budget is not there. There's not a national agenda for sports, which is sad, because sport is a very important tool. Even way back in 2012, for all this work, the United Nations drafted a resolution to encourage member states to utilize sports as a versatile tool for development. Not just psychosocially, but economically.
Yeah.
But we don't allocate any resources for sports. I had a discussion with the minister, and that was his position, that Parliament don't really have the budget for sports. The only economics we have is to maintain our buildings, whether that's sports council, etc. So we need to really relook at how we can create a concept that allows for economic residuals that benefits our most important resources, which is our young people. Sports is such a versatile tool.
But I was asking, like, what is there right now that you guys are providing to these young people or anybody that wants to venture into boxing? Because I know it's part of what you guys do in terms of developing the sport, right?
Well, Even Belize, I used to. Well, I don't even know if they even have a gym in Belize anymore, but he have a gym in Cayo that he really
Well,
pushed to that
most
extent.
of this is personal investment,
Right. Yeah.
but it's well worth it because
Yeah.
when you see the smile on a young person when they feel accomplished, no matter if you gave $100,000 to it, it's invaluable to bring inspiration, hope, and show love to a young person. So, you know, everything is about personal investment.
Yeah.
You have to care about what you're doing, but if you go on it from strictly a
Trying to get
a
money
economic
back.
perspective, you'll get frustrated, and that's why most sporting organizations or grassroots programs, they stop because nothing happened.
He's
Yeah.
frustrated, more or less.
Gentlemen, as we wrap things up, remind us again where the competition will be, what time, what date, and why we should come out.
Civic Center, Belize Civic Center, which is the first world facility, and we need to utilize it.
Correct.
And the reason why we should come out is because this event is a monumental event. It's a historic event. This is Belize's first time hosting a notable championship, and this championship in itself is something that we're attempting to grant inspiration to the young. It's about the young people of the nation. It's not but about the economic ideas of putting a fight at the Civic based on the potential of the venue. It's about inspiring the young that's interested in the sport to say that, hey, there's something set for us in the future, and we can one day become notable world champions and make a sustainable source of income and make Belize proud of us.
So that's this Saturday.
No, next week Saturday.
Next
the
Saturday.
24th. And I also want to thank the sponsor that we have on board. We want to thank BTB. We want to thank BEL. We also want to thank Quick Stop. We also want to thank Spice. We also want to thank Atlantic Bank. And what you have on your end?
On Cayo, there's Vega Distributors in particular. Mr. Vega Benke, he's really a person that's a conscientious businessman. And we're like even Dwayne and yourself to come to the fight, no?
Yes, we will have tickets for you guys. Well, I forget it. I would apologize for that, but we will definitely drop it by. Or I will drop
So what's
it by.
the price of the tickets?
The tickets are $25 for general, and VIP is $100.
And ringside $150.
All right,
Yes.
so
Starts
next
at
week
6
Saturday,
p.m.
next week Saturday, June 24th at the Belize City Civic Center, 6 p.m. You can get tickets for $25 for general and $100 for VIP, which, I mean, I would say I would love to be up and close to experience that,
You
right?
will get your tickets so you could be
No,
up
well, I'm
and
telling the
close.
viewers, you should
Okay,
go up and
okay,
close
okay.
as well.
But I would suggest that Mark leave 25 general admission tickets with this media house. Maybe they can give it to staff or
Yeah.
whomever.
Yeah.
Just to come sit down. We actually produced 500 complimentary. We want 500 people to come who normally couldn't afford to come.
That's correct.
All right.
So like I say, it's not something that we just build in the sports. It's that we looking forward.
Excellent,
Correct.
excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to definitely having you guys back again to talk
Thank
about the
you.
progression of boxing in
Yeah.
Belize, how it benefits young people, and just how the sport itself will be developed in Belize.
And
We
thank
know
you.
that you guys will be back.
Okay, and thank you guys for having us. All right,
All right,
Look
we're going to
forward.
take a break, and when we come back, it's all about YWCA and their programs this summer. Don't go away.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus, Share 1 and 2, and Enterprise 1 and 2 plans, you can talk as much as you want, text as much as you want, and for the first time ever in Belize, you can enjoy unlimited data with your postpaid plan. So come in and sign up for an unlimited postpaid plan and enjoy limitless possibilities. In addition, other plans such as the Flex Junior, Choice, and Select have been boosted with a lot more talk, text, and data, providing you with the best value for your budget. Be unlimited with Smart. It's time to power your dollar with Smart.
Enjoy endless entertainment with NextGen TV, now available for everyone. NextGen TV is your all-in-one streaming app with over 200 channels of live content, all your live sports, news, and the shows you love. Replay and pause live TV. Enjoy premium Belizean entertainment. Keep up to the latest releases and stream high-quality movies and series on any device. NextGen TV is compatible with Android devices, Amazon Fire devices, iOS, Apple TV, Roku, and Tizen devices, so you can enjoy your favorite content whenever and wherever you want. Contact us for your subscription through our dedicated WhatsApp number, 660-7873. NextGen TV, the ultimate way to watch TV.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Marion Ali, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes. Go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
Welcome back. We're having our final conversation for the morning, and it's all about summer programs at the YWCA. We have with us two representatives, Camly Flowers, and she's the manager and acting program coordinator at the YWCA, as well as Melvin Armstrong, and he is what everyone probably wants to see him. He's the pool manager over at the Y. Good morning.
Morning. Welcome, guys.
I like that you come with your whistle. Yeah, man.
Let's get right into it in terms of the offerings this summer at Y.
Yes, well, you all know that the Y door has been open for 67 years now. And we try to offer programs to everyone. So apart from our summer program, we offer the adult skills course, we have the seniors program, we had the health program, which we're still currently trying to get back active. We have our preschool program, and we have the daycare. So this summer, we're trying to offer constructive activities where parents can get their children enrolled, and it will be fun at the same time. So we're looking at ages 3 years and up for our summer programs this year.
We know that you guys always find ways to not only have activities or programs during the summer and even outside of the summer that are constructive but also fun for these children as well. We were reflecting on programs that you guys had last summer, which looked at cooking, hair braiding or hairstyling, learning a new language even if you wanted to learn Spanish, which was useful for younger kids as well as older kids as well. So let's talk about what you guys are offering this summer.
Okay, so we are bringing back the cooking, the baking, the Spanish as a second language, sewing. So this year we added a few new programs.
Okay.
So we're offering basketball.
Ooh.
We're offering Star Digital Reading, Writing.
What
and
is
math. So that's an app that allows children to navigate, teaching them math, pronunciation of words, phonics, helping them with reading. Then we're also offering, we added a new one called Drama for the Ages.
Ooh.
Last year we had the Garifuna drumming. This year we're doing the Creole drumming.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds like that will be
and then
interesting.
I'm noticing that you have cooking for juniors, seniors, you have cake decorating, I guess cake making for juniors and seniors.
Yes.
And then
we also have
it's a
crochet.
lot.
Crochet.
A modern Afro dance and all of that. So you're partnering with maybe some niche or Ika. Do you have a dancer that's coming in, a choreographer?
Yes, we have Miss Chriselle.
Chriselle. Oh,
Wonderful.
Chriselle, yes.
Choreographer,
Moro.
yes.
And you know what's really great about the programs that you guys offer is that you can choose one, but you can also choose more than one.
Yes, you can have them available more.
Perhaps you can give us a little bit more information on how that works when it comes to the schedule and if you're purchasing to be a part of these programs.
So if you enroll your child in more than one programs, we will offer a 10% discount to your registration.
Okay.
Okay.
So how much to register?
They all have different price ranges.
ranges?
So it starts from 50 up to 125.
That's per week.
For the month.
For the month. Oh, that's
good.
good.
So our summer program starts July 3rd and will end on July 20th.
Okay, so 1 month.
Yes.
Basically. And let's shift over to Mr. Armstrong. Pool. I just like, with this heat, man, I'm ready for the pool. And I'm assuming the kids are as well. Let's talk about that because I think earlier you were saying to us that, you know what, the registration has spiked.
We have people starting to register already, so that we do have early registration already that have already started. For the swimming program, we start the 3rd of July, but we finish in the middle of August, so it's 6 weeks.
Very nice.
And they learn how to swim, the basics.
Definitely.
Whatever,
even if you know how to
that.
swim, you still excel on your level of performance you have.
Mr. Armstrong, you guys teach adults because
Yes, we do.
if I touch water, I bubble.
There's a process we take from beginners to teach how to swim, and even if you don't know to swim and have fear, yes, we let you pass that process. It's an easy process for adults. Adults hold on to fear, and that's why adults takes longer to learn. But with kids don't have fear. With them don't do something, they still do it. But we do adults class as well.
Okay, so we could take part during the summer too.
Correct.
Because you know, I remember growing up, they always said, you know what, you take the kid and you throw in the water. That's how in the water and you learn. You understand? Because honestly, it's true. Like, kids are daredevils.
Yeah.
They're jumping in.
They don't see depth. They don't see that. They just see water play and that's it. Yeah.
And so you guys provide like gears that they would need.
Yes, we have
a
floating device, singing device that we have let them retrieve it as a process of learning. Yeah.
And trained person. So that's lifeguards, all of those things.
I'm doing the training for the instructors on the 24th, which is a Saturday. So I'm also asking any students who want to volunteer, and we'll teach you how to swim.
Okay.
Even if you don't know to swim and you want to be an instructor or a volunteer, I'll teach you to be an instructor. And what I explain to most students, you don't need to swim. You don't need to know how to swim to teach how to swim.
Okay.
You could teach them outside the pool. And if you join the program and you have nothing to do, sign up. Because we do have a space for volunteers. Last year we had 29 volunteers. I'm at the point of, I think I'm at 7 or 8 that have already signed up from last year. Previous volunteers already signed up. They want to come again. There is one volunteer that's come from Belopan. She chose to follow me, or follow the Y on all of our programs.
Wow.
So because of the environment that we offer for the volunteers, we provide lunch, we provide snacks, and we provide 2 or 3 trips for the volunteers that we wired to them. We take them to Guanacaste Park. We took the last group to Bocagüina National Park, and they did that trailing up to the waterfall. They spent a day there. That's how we were wired to the volunteers. So I'm offering explain to you guys that we do have space for volunteers. If you have nothing to do over summer, come sign up as a volunteer. We have multiple places to put you guys at.
Do you guys have a lot of adults coming in and trying to learn how to swim?
Yes, we do.
Really?
Yes, we do. We even do Saturday classes for toddlers.
Okay.
So we'll do the toddlers program on Saturdays as well.
What's the price of this?
It's $100.
Okay, and that's for
the 6 weeks.
No, we'll be doing 2-3 weeks session.
Okay.
So the first week is this first session for 3 weeks. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday for 1 hour, and we have the morning hour and the afternoon hour. If your schedule can't put you in for the morning, you can come for the afternoon.
And how many persons do you work
Now,
with
for each hour,
Yeah.
within the 29 volunteers, we section each groups off within the side of a pool, so we can hold at least 25 to 30 kids within 1 hour.
how long do you think it takes? Well, I assume it depends on the person, but
Depends
can
on
you
the
learn
fear.
how to learn
Yes.
Can you learn how to swim very quickly?
Yes, we have fast learners and we have slow learners. The people who take longer to learn is one that hold on to the fear. So simple thing like bobs, we ask you to duck your head and blow bubbles through your nose. That's one of the biggest challenge some adults have. Go down and blow, come up and breathe.
Dead.
Because me can't go land to swim by myself. I need to see people there with me, so I know that they're not just me.
Usually during a class,
But so like the fundamentals. What is the first thing that you need to be able to do for you to learn to swim?
Follow instructions.
Float.
Follow instructions. First thing, follow instructions.
But if you can't float, you can't swim, right?
Everybody could float.
Everybody could float.
No, not everybody
it's just
could
a process of preparing yourself
Breathing,
to float.
yeah, right?
Because just you hold your breath and the air within it, but you float. Yeah.
Can you float?
Yes, I can actually. and like if you're calling swimming, I could swim for simple life. You understand?
So you can swim as well?
I'm not a strong swimmer.
You
right?
can swim.
I can swim. I'm not a strong swimmer, right? And so it's like I'm not going to say, oh, you know what, I go out and see. Because listen, one of the things there, the reason why people drown is because they're too over ambitious when they get into the water. You ever hear that person who can't swim drown? Never.
Yes, there are persons that cannot swim.
It's almost always.
Yeah,
it's almost always someone that can swim that drowns.
Not always.
Almost always. You understand what I mean?
Anyway, so the Y is teaching us how to swim, children and adults, and I might be one of your students this summer. But aside from that, but aside from that, there are also other programs that you can have access to over at the Y. As they mentioned, you can learn sewing, crochet. They're teaching language still. You can learn Spanish. You can also go and learn to bake or to cook. They're also giving us some culture with dancing and drumming. So there's a lot to offer. And of course, you can take part in one or more. If you do take part in more than one programs this summer, you will be getting a discount. So definitely check out the Y. And I know this much. Around summertime, it's important to contact the Y as soon as possible because you guys get full
very fast.
Give out your information then in terms of like the numbers and who to contact, just so these families can try to register their kids. Yeah.
So we have the forms available at the office, and we are trying to minimize sending out forms via email because the amount of mails that we receive per day, it gets overlooked. So to minimize that, we're asking everyone to please visit the office. We provide you the banking information, you make the payment, you return your form with your payment, and then your child is enrolled. So you can contact us at 223-4971.
All right.
How soon? I know you said July 3rd is when it starts.
It starts July 3rd.
Like get it in now.
Like
right?
today.
Like yesterday.
and then also, the daycare for the first time is offering a potty training.
Ooh, very nice.
That's for $200 for the month. It starts from 8 to 1.
Okay, excellent.
You know, I'm looking at these programs and I just know that the Y also has this financial literacy aspect to its programs because a lot of these are trades that can turn into jobs that, you know, cosmetology, you know, the baking and all of that, you can end up making your own business after learning these skills. And so let's talk about that because I think you've had a lot of success stories from out of these programs, right?
From the
Y, yeah, baking and cosmetology, people end up making it a whole business, right?
Well, we try to offer our programs the best way we could, that they can either advance on a skill or learn a new skill.
Yeah.
And one of the classes that I must say is on a very high demand is the nail technology. When it comes to the acrylic, a lot of people rush for that class. So our adult skills program is not happening right now. We're planning to start September, so they can still come over and sign up.
All right, perfect. All right, well, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate the information. And to our families that are watching, sign up as early as possible because the Y usually gets packed during the summer.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of programs that you can take part in or that your children can take part in, and that includes swimming for adults as well. So contact the YWCA and fill out those applications as early as possible to get those kids in the summer programs this year. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our final break. Oh, actually, we have a transformative living today.
Yeah.
Wayne, it's Tuesday. Yes. All right, so this morning's transformative living, as you know, Anlin Apollonio is our transformative living feature writer, and it's all about something that you touched on. Financial literacy. So we're going to go to that, and then we're going to take a break.
Hola usuario de eCash, la aplicación eCash está disponible en español. Cambiar el idioma de tu aplicación de eCash de inglés a español es rápido y sencillo. Déjame mostrarte cómo se hace. Primero, abre tu aplicación eCash. Introduce tu PIN. Toca el icono More en la parte inferior de tu pantalla. Selecciona Security. Selecciona Language. Y luego selecciona Spanish. Vuelve a introducir tu PIN y ya está. Tu aplicación de eCash está ahora en español y puedes seguir disfrutando de tu cartera digital eCash. La aplicación eCash de Belize Bank te hace la vida más fácil.
I think that 27 drop tonight, huh?
But you think so? Tonight I think that 24.
Now Belize, you have rice and beans, chips and dip, bolido, and son de la tray. Bolido, that is part of our national identity. And as much as most of we may enjoy it here and there, the bottom line is, one company had 100% ownership of it. And nothing wrong with owning a business, you know. But when it comes to we Bolido, you can't own that and be transparent. You can't report on winnings and sales when you feel like. You can't audit the machine when you feel like. And you definitely can't hide the records under your mattress. But now, that Bolido and Sunday that will be for we again. We will be able to enjoy the excitement and profits of it. And that's a double win for us.
My name is Wilmer De La Rosa from Santa Elena Town. I am currently a student at Cayo, set for employment training. Enrolled in the electrical installation program. In late July 2021, I got a confirmation that I was a successful applicant and would be granted a scholarship from Social Security Board. It was one of the proudest moments for me. I felt very excited to start this new path in my life. So far on my journey as a Social Security Board scholar, my vocational technical scholarship has assisted me in achieving my life goals in so many ways. For one, it has renewed sense of purpose, another chance at professional development, and a start at a new career. This opportunity has paved the way for me to excel in life as an individual and as a member of society. Great things are coming after I graduate from SET. I can promise you that. Applying for a vocational technical scholarship through the Social Security Board is simple and easy. I would advise young people in need to apply. It is possible to create a fulfilling and fruitful life with a Social Security scholarship. Believe in yourself and your abilities and skills. I always say the key is to always keep an open mind and let your determination be your motivation.
Sign up for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
Good morning, Belize. Do you find yourself living from paycheck to paycheck? Or are you making sufficient money but it seemingly disappears in the blink of an eye? Financial literacy equips you with knowledge and skills required to make informed and effective decisions regarding personal finances. It involves understanding various financial concepts such as budgeting, saving, investing, borrowing, and managing debt. In today's Transformative Living, Peacework Belize volunteers under the direction of Dr. Carol Babb is on a mission to take financial literacy into the classroom to empower the next generation. Volunteers from Peacework Belize have embarked on a mission to create financially literate youths with the objective of shaping more financially responsible citizens. The one-week program tailored for students provide practical financial management skills to ultimately improve quality of life. Lauren Funk, facilitator of the program, shares that apart from securing a good financial future, it is important for young people to tap into this wealth of knowledge.
So financial literacy is just the knowledge to be able to make wise financial decisions. So that can be, in the saving, budgeting, stuff like that. But it's more of like knowing not to spend your money on wants when you haven't spent your money on your needs yet, like your rent, your car loan, stuff like that. But when you save, you put aside a minimum of 10% of your income. You're able to put that aside for emergency, stuff like that, so that you don't go into debt. Financial literacy just more of gives you that knowledge to make those smart decisions so that, you can have a good financial future. It's good to start them younger, get them familiarized with financial concepts and financial tips, because this is a time where they can start saving for their future, as a lot of them may be able to start saving up for high school, or in the case of the Nazarene High School, they can start saving up for college and making plans like that.
As the financial literacy program culminated, some students of Nazarene High School were eager to share what they learned throughout the course of the week and why they believe they have been equipped with essential tools to shape their future.
I learned about budgeting, about pitfalls, how to save your money, and that you have to save at least 10% of what you earn. It is important to save because in the future, you could have a medical problem and you already have money to support yourself if you need it.
I think it will be very helpful for me to know how to keep track of my money so that I could always know where my money goes. It's very important because I wouldn't want someone to be out in the future and don't know how to cut back or budget themselves or know how to handle their money well, because the consequences of not knowing about it will be you'll end up in the streets or in debt, and of course there's a lot of stress that comes with that. And of course it will be very sad, and I know that it will make the world just a little tad bit better.
What I think about financial literacy is that it's something that we need, something that we have to learn, because it will be useful in the future when we want to start to live our life as an independent person.
Essentially, financial literacy not only teaches you the skills needed to manage your money from day to day, but also allows you to establish mechanisms for rainy days. Like Deanne Danderson, co-facilitator of the program, asserts, financial literacy is everybody's business.
It's everybody's business because you're never too old or never too young to save. You never know when you're gonna need the money. There's always emergencies. You can use it for future use. You can use it for your needs and your wants. What we taught them is that not because you're young means that it won't matter in the future, or you can live on mommy's and daddy's money. It's great to be independent. So you're never too young, you're never too old to save.
Being able to get you out of bad situations, you know, anything can happen. You can have loss of income, loss of job, emergencies like sickness or death. It's going to help you prevent going into debt from, you know, the unexpected situations. But also for the students that we've been teaching, it's really good for them to put aside a little bit of money, you know, save up for their future, save up for that. But, you know, the most mistakes are made when you're young, when you don't know what to do. So we're coming in here and letting them know now so that they don't make those mistakes in the future. I really do encourage younger people to start educating themselves on financial literacy. Just do a simple Google search, you know, like finance tips, stuff like that, and they can start saving up now to reach those goals in the future and to avoid the consequences of bad financial decisions. And I really do urge parents and families to start teaching their kids younger. You know, when you give them allowance, tell them what to do with it. Put 10% of it aside for savings, use the other amount for, you know, needs and not wants.
I recommend to other people to try at least once to start to save, because like teenagers around my age, they always want something they see, but they don't really think about what they need. So I recommend they start practicing to save money. Since I learned financial literacy, I'm starting to save money I want to go to college. I want to study more. I'm going to share it with my friends and my family. My parents also taught me about financial literacy, but I didn't pay them no mind because I thought it was useless. But now I understand it more. I have more knowledge of it.
Financial literacy helps individuals like you and me to develop the necessary tools and strategies to achieve financial goals, make sound financial decisions, and navigate the complex world of money. It is crucial for individuals to achieve financial independence, make informed decisions, avoid financial pitfalls, and plan for a secure future. This is a lifelong learning process that can be improved through personal research, educational resources, workshops, and professional financial advice. And parents, teach your children these principles as soon as possible. Remember, you are never too young and never too old to start to save, budget, and identify your needs and wants to experience the financial freedom that you desire. Tune in next Tuesday for another Transformative Living. I'm Annalyn Apollonia. Have a great day, Belize.
All right, that was Annalyn with an excellent transformative living piece this week. And Dwayne, I mean, financial literacy is a relevant conversation to everyone, young, old, and as she said, you're never too young, you're never too old to learn how to save, to learn how to budget. You'd be surprised to know that there's a lot of adults that still don't know how to budget properly.
That is so true, Sabrina. I think that sometimes people think that, you know what, when you put a budget, you're limiting yourself and what you can do. You can't live your best life. But it started off our conversation earlier today. You have to plan for your future. You have to plan for what you want. You know, it's the truth. You do. Listen, being financially literate is not a bad thing. Sometimes it just provides you with guidelines as to what you can do, what you cannot do. When you're, of course, budgeting for your bills and your commitments, also put in place where you can, you know, money's for leisure, for you to be able to go out and treat yourself, maybe to clothing, you know, to a dinner at a nice place, or, you know, even take out. Sometimes just ordering a pizza for the family is something that is different from the norm, and you budget for that. Financial literacy helps you to guide, you know, the way you go forward in life. I think so. It does. For the rainy day, when you have to plan for the rainy day, you know, it does. Don't you think so, Sabrina?
I will dismiss your eye-opener circle back, and I'll just agree with you by saying that, yes, I do agree. And I'll take it a step further by saying, you know, a lot of times we think that treating yourselves involves buying these products, but instead of buying a pizza, you could buy the ingredients to a pizza and make that pizza together as a family, and you not only get more from it in terms of your money's worth, but you also get a memory with your family as well. And that's something that I always talk about. You know, if you want to have a sweet treat, make something, make a smoothie at home, make a shake at home, and enjoy that experience together. And it's not going to save you money, but you're going to have a memory, a family memory as well.
Of course, we started off the show talking about the rights of a renter, and I think that was a great conversation. Listen to me, the landlords where they keep on a security deposit and if you check me, make me understand when I come out last month, give me back my $500.
Yeah, but also the rights of a landlord. I think that also should be talked about, because a lot of times we don't want the conversation to be only centered around the rights of the tenants, but also to remind our tenants that landlords have their rights as well. This is a business for them, and a lot of times we have to remember that for landlords, this is their income, you know. We go to our jobs, that's their job too. So just to remember that. I take no side. I just think it's important for us to recognize that both the parties have rights, and if there's anything that you take away from that conversation, it's make sure you have a contract, and try to include as much information as possible in there to cover your bases, and of course for the landlord as well.
No gray lines.
But in our second segment, we were joined by the Belize Boxing Development Council, and we were able to learn about a competition that's taking place on June 24th. That's a Saturday at the Belize City Civic Center. And you can come on out and bring your families as well. Tickets are only $25 for general and $100 for VIP.
Yeah, courtside is $150. I think the takeaway was that, you know what, it is a sport that can engage young people, older persons, and this council has been trying its best, despite, you know, financial challenges, is trying its best to ensure that, you know what, there is a level, an international level to the sport, and that young people are engaged at the foundation, the development stage, and they provide a space for persons who want to venture into this sport, boxing. You watch it on TV, you know the big international athletes, but in Belize they're going to have these international matches that will take place. Females included, Sabrina.
Yeah.
So don't think that it's only a male sport. Inclusivity, guys. Yeah. And then lastly, of course, we were joined by reps from the YWCA about their summer programs that are taking place beginning on July 3rd. Swimming. I may enjoy that swimming. Sabrina, I want to see you swimming. Guys, we need to, pull Sabrina. Tell her that you want her to go out there and do a bright side of her swimming and learning how to swim.
Should a bright side be me learning to swim, guys? I don't know if I want to embarrass myself that much. I tried dancing. I don't know if I want to try swimming on camera, but we'll see. But we want to say, though, thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. We don't have any birthday shout-outs, but to whoever is celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you. Yeah. We also want to say if you have any questions or concerns, you can contact us on our email at oye@channel5belize.com. We also have our Facebook page at Open Your Eyes BZ, and Instagram for behind-the-scenes content at OIE Belize. Thank you so much for joining us. But join us again tomorrow on Wednesday when you open your eyes
and start your morning right.
Keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
Have a great Tuesday.
Yeah, bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank. By the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.